Good evening, good evening, good evening, or I guess I should say good afternoon, everybody. Listen, I wanted to let you know some things that happened last night in the joint board meeting. You probably already know, and you've been waiting for me to say this. But last night in our joint board meeting, we did take into consideration the reality that we're moving into the endemic phase of COVID. And so you've been asking about it. You've been wondering. We are going beginning tonight to a mask optional position in the church. That means when you come to church, you don't have to have a mask on, but it is your choice. What you're going to see with me, sometimes I'm going to wear a mask, sometimes I'm not going to wear a mask. And part of that is to identify with those who still want to wear masks. Because there's nothing wrong with you if you want to wear a mask. And let me also say this. One of the things that we learned during the COVID experience, during that whole pandemic, while we were wearing masks, we didn't have as much flu, common cold, and other things. And so what I want to suggest to you is that in this endemic phase, it might be culture that when you know you're not feeling well, you got a little sniffle going on, or you've got a little thing, you put on a mask. You protect us from you and what's ever going on. You don't have to brave it out. We're going to, some of the things that we did learn during COVID, I actually kind of like where our seats are. So I'm not going to put the seats back in the pulpit. I actually like having more room up there, not to have to be around people when I'm preaching, and I got a little more room for the demonstrative. But so we're going to, and I think that the flow that we have in worship works, even the flow of where we do the reading of scripture and so forth. We can, we do things a little more decently and in order. So we're not going to change any of that. The only thing that is changing is it's now mask optional beginning tonight. With an understanding that when you feel like you should probably put on a mask, but you don't have to. So the seating is what it is. Remember, some things have developed that we learned. So that doesn't mean we can't keep, if you got a nice Bible study going on that's working for you and your group and it's online, doesn't mean you have to stop that. You can continue that. What I'm going to be doing with the evening Bible study, what we learned is that we can have a hybrid experience. And so when we come back, in fact, I'm going to try to have us do something before we break for the summer. I'm just looking at the issues of timing and Tuesdays. But when we get back in the fall, we're always going to have at least one Bible study in flesh with all of the leaders, and all of you all are welcome to come. And then the other days of the month will stay online because it seems to work for people. And as always, we'll continue to address. Some of you have been asking about Saturday service. Let me be honest with you. It's a numbers issue. And if we are consistently overcrowded, which we're not, on Sunday morning, those extra services are driven literally by space and numbers. Remember, it's the same sermon. And so I want to name that. However, we will use Saturdays periodically for some of our special occasions. And what do I mean by that? This weekend, we're going to have our scholarship service. It'll take place at that 5 o'clock hour. It's actually going to start 4 o'clock this year. But you'll notice I'm going to begin to make use of the Saturday evening 5 o'clock thing for things like licensing, ordinations, opportunities for us to invite other churches. Remember, it used to be that the church, you have afternoon service at 3:30. Nobody comes to afternoon service anymore. Very rarely do I even go out to preach afternoon service because not many churches are having afternoon services. But we still do need to fellowship. And quite frankly, sometimes the good old tradition of inviting Reverend so-and-so and his mass choir to come for our annual Ushers Day. Some of that stuff has its place. That's where we'll use Saturdays and invite those. So between a Saturday evening at times and a Tuesday Bible study, for instance, in September, just like last year, I'm going to have my pastor, Pastor Walter Malone, kick us off in the fall with our first baptism of the fall, and he'll come in and be a blessing to us as he was on last year. So the only thing that is shifting is you can, if you want to, take your mask off. We're going to take everything we learned from the COVID experience and apply it. The deacons will be taking up the issue of repast as relates to funerals, because one of the other things that went on with funerals, another culture developed where people are choosing real catering halls for their repast for several different reasons. And so we're going to take that up. As of right now, we still have not returned to the repast, but we are now a mask optional church. Looking forward to seeing you tonight as we celebrate those coming into the water. And by the way, if you all are on Facebook, probably right below this, there's a wonderful, wonderful testimony. I just thank God for our AV ministry. They're doing such a wonderful job at our reels and capturing. I need you to know, I don't pick the reels. I don't anything. I wait to see what the ministry of our AV is going to use with our encounters as a evangelistic tool. And so I celebrate, Daphne and her team and how they are doing and using the reels. That testimony from our virtual member was such a blessing. It warmed my heart, and I'm sure it will warm yours as well. I encourage you to hear it. And we look forward to seeing you on tonight. Mask optional. And as we're always encouraging, if you think you feel a little tickle in your throat, throw your mask on. That does not mean that everybody wearing a mask is sick, but it does mean that we're thinking about what we learned from the pandemic. And that's a good thing to follow. We used to, many of us, get in trouble, Waller. Remember going to an airport and you might see someone who looked Asian to you, and they would have on masks. They've been doing this for years. They understood what this looked like to be in the endemic phase. We might want to learn something from that. That is a thing that you can do. But you're welcome to come tonight. Looking forward. I will be in the water. We will start baptizing at 6:45. And I look forward for your being a part of that. Please don't forget, this weekend, we have the colorful tea, and then the first part of our scholarship ceremony starts at 4 p.m. on Saturday. And then the second part, of course, is on Sunday morning. And again, I am so excited to let you know that your church is investing in children and young people and their education to the tune of over $500,000. In fact, it's right at $600,000 total, all in, between the ways we do with Community College and with the United Negro College Fund and with the partnership with Arcadia and with you as individuals giving scholarships from your family and with the collective witness of the church, all total. And that's just for this year, because each year we're going to do it, because we believe that God gave to us so we can give to others. And there's a cycle that happens. You can't beat God given, no matter how hard you try. And when you bless other people, God will bless your socks off. And that's just real. So listen, I love y'all much. Thank you for letting me have a little piece of your afternoon. I'll see you tonight at baptism. God bless you and God keep you. It's my prayer.